Nobody Wants to Die is quite a bold title for a game. With a name that strong, it caught my attention right away. But the question I asked myself is, will this game hold its title with pride, or will it fall flat and be another forgotten video game? Nobody Wants to Die is a neo-noir detective game set in the year 2329, with futuristic elements inspired by games like Fallout and Cyberpunk, and a gameplay loop that includes time control. I was so ready to play this game. So anyways, in this video I will be showing you how I got all 26 achievements and Nobody Wants to Die. The game starts off with a video that shows what the current situation is in this far future. Somewhere in the year 2080, a new invention called Exhilarating was created. This new technology allowed people to transfer their consciousness from one body to another, essentially making humans immortal. So once your body gets too old or too sick, you can buy a new body and put your Exhilarating in there. This sounds amazing, right? The dream of living forever. But there's a small issue with this. Since older people will start dying, they'll need to get younger and newer bodies. The problem is, who's willingly gonna give up their bodies? In order to solve this, the government introduced a body subscription service. As crazy as that seems, you don't own your body anymore. After you turn 21 years old, you'll need to pay a fee to keep your body. If this payment is not reached, the Department of Mortality will come and find you and take your body away, leaving your Exhilarating all alone. And then the older and richer people will have full access to your younger body. So yeah, I know that was a lot to unpack in just the first cutscene, but trust me, it gets better. The movie jumps into a first-person point of view and we get introduced to our character. He's the detective named James Kara, and to our right is a woman called Rachel. This is our wife. And after talking about handcuffing each other, I thought this game was gonna take a different kind of route. But that's when this happens. So we get some sort of panic attack and vine-like roots surround the car, but luckily we take these pills, drink a little bit of our alcohol, and just like that, we're back to normal. We look to our side and Rachel has disappeared without a trace. After reading a newspaper and listening to the radio, we find out that a new bill has just been signed by the president that will reduce the age limit of body subscription from 21 to 20. This means that at 20 years old, you'll need to start paying for your body. We continue fiddling around with the items in the car until we get a call from our chief. Our boss is kind of an asshole, I'm not gonna lie, and it turns out that our character James got into a train accident a couple weeks ago, where we died and had to change bodies. Since the accident was so severe, James isn't allowed to work for a couple months, but he needs the money to pay off his body. So the chief gives us an unofficial job where we will be accompanied with a liaison officer by our side. And with a bit of hesitation, we take the job. Here I grab the pills and find out they're called ambrosia, and I also get my first achievement for interacting with every item in the car. We open the door next to us and look at this view. Anyways, we meet our liaison officer named Sarah. She's gonna be the person helping us throughout this whole game. And now is a good time to explain that the options we choose will affect how the story goes, kinda like the old Walking Dead games. Sarah tells us to go pick up a package including the job's description. We drive there in our flying car, get the package, and I take a moment to enjoy how good this game really looks. I return to my car, open the package, and inside is a hologram of the job details. The person we're dealing with is someone called Edward Green. All we have to do is pull his Exhilarating out of his body and deliver it to the Consciousness Transmission Center, or the CTC. This place is the thing you saw at the beginning of the video. It's basically where your Exhilarating goes once your body dies, and here is where you can be transferred to a new body, and if you don't have enough money, well, your consciousness will be stuck forever until someone buys a new body for you. So we suffer another panic attack, see Rachel once again, and I take the ambrosia to ease the pain. The screen goes black and I get the second achievement of the game.
So I took this job.
Right after, we get to Green's tower and ignore the no smoking rules. We open these doors and see Mr. Green has committed suicide. It looks like the tree next to him has been burnt, and Sarah asks us to take some pictures of him. James doesn't believe that this is Green, but how could you blame him, right? Like, look at this guy's fucking face. So instead, we use something called the reconstructor, and this is how we can control time. Using the clues we find, we can reverse time in order to find out what happened to this body. While reconstructing, there's certain areas of time where a bubble will appear, and we can enter it to analyze for further clues. Here's an example of it. Once we enter this bubble, we can scan his brain, and to our surprise, Green's Exhilarating is melted. With no Exhilarating, this means he can be reborn, and this death means he's fully dead. So now, instead of a suicide, James changes his mind and he believes this is a suspected murder case. Ignoring the chief's rules, now we decide to find out who killed Green. And this is when I get a little bit sidetracked. I start exploring the tower and I find out that Green's been alive for a long time, almost 200 years at this point. I steal a cigar from his cabinet and I find these documents labeled top secret. So this is a moment where I could either decide to leave them or to burn them. So I take the good route and decide to put them back on the desk. I also get the third achievement for doing so. I continue exploring and we find some more lore about this Green guy. To our surprise, he was one of the creators of Exhilarating alongside one of the first people to enforce the body subscription fees. So this guy is behind millions of people who have lost their bodies and now have to suffer all alone in the CTC. He also owns an orphanage, by the way, if that makes you feel any better about him, but yeah, fuck this guy. Then I find these jars filled with random items, and apparently in the year 2329, chocolate is now a rare item to come across. So after seeing it, Sarah wants us to describe the smell to her, and after I follow her orders, I get the fourth achievement of the game. I fool around a little bit more.
What the fuck is this?
A bike.
And after that, I remember that I actually have a mission to complete. I find out that a certain gel was used to blow up the tree, and using our new X-ray gadget, we can find the source of the gel. It connects to this generator under the floor, and we also find this snake symbol carved behind the tree. While searching for clues, I find a bottle of gin and blood stains on the floor, and this is enough data to start a reconstruction. And what the fuck is Green doing? It seems as if he's getting his head slammed into the floor, but is he doing it himself? Or is there like a ghost or something? Right now, it's unclear. I continue looking around and I find this locket with Green and two of his friends. We also find out that he was pushed off of the top railing, and using my UV lamp, I traced Green's blood and found out more horrifying details of his death. At this point, everything is coming together and we're getting a clear vision of how Green was murdered. That's when I go back to the generator, and while reconstructing, I find out it was Green himself who played with the generator and caused the tree to catch on fire. He also put the rope around his neck, which doesn't make any sense because why would he do this, right? While inspecting the generator, I see this bottle, and after I pick it up, look at what happens.
James? I've lost visual. Will you come back to me? James!
I don't know about you guys, but that shit was kinda spooky. A stranger talking in our ear is not really what we need right now. Anyways, before leaving, I conclude that there was for sure a murderer who forced Green to do all this. Maybe he's invisible or something, but there's no way that this was a suicide alone. I leave the tower and I get the fifth achievement for doing so. Moving forward, we reach our apartment and this place is a dump. Like, there's shit everywhere. There's graffiti on the walls, propaganda posters, and all that bullshit. We enter our home and we get a lot of backstory about our character James. We find pictures of his wife, pictures of him before his train accident. We find out that he used to be a professional baseball player, and we also find out that Rachel was expecting a child that they were going to name Brian before she passed away. We take care of our plants, and after opening this fake window, we go outside and listen to a message from our boss. This gives me the sixth achievement of the game. I go back inside and go into the bathroom, and in this world, the bathrooms are shared with our neighbors, so we spark a conversation with one of them and we talk about how we're gonna beat each other up. Yeah, this is pretty weird, but just for now, know that this is gonna be important for achievement later on. I finish my waterless shower, and this is where we get the first look at James. We go to touch the snake bottle and we have another small attack. Then with Sarah's help, we activate this sort of puzzle / connect the dots thing. Basically what this does is help us understand the story using the clues we found during the reconstruction. I'm gonna be honest, I was so confused doing this. I was just trying shit, but in the end we figured out that two people were last seen with Green before he died. One man named Kovalev, who was also on the locket, and another girl named Jane Salma, who was Green's psychologist. Finally, we send the bottle to Sarah for further analysis. We go outside and I smoke the cigar I stole from Green's tower. Here we find out that the panic attacks we keep having are something called desynchronizations. It happens when you change bodies and your Icarite needs time to adjust to it. This is why we keep seeing visions of our wife Rachel. We see a zeppelin flying above us called the Icarus. This is also where Kovalev works as a bartender. Sarah gets back with the poison and Kovalev's fingerprints were all around the bottle. She also concludes that the liquid inside the bottle was the poison that melted Green's Icarite. So now we have a strong suspect in Kovalev. The only thing is, how will we get to him? Well, if it wasn't for the plot, this would never happen, but out of nowhere, engine problems have been reported on the Icarus and it's en route to crash. The crash causes our whole apartment to shake and now we have an impossible opportunity to go find Kovalev. I also get an achievement for this. We get to the Icarus before the police do and we start searching for any clues. At first glance, it doesn't seem that he's alive, let alone anyone is alive. We find numerous dead bodies, but none of them are who we're looking for. I decide to start reconstruction to see what I can find. In the explosion, I find a safe with the same snake drawing that Green had on his tree. I then use my UV lamp and to my surprise, I find Kovalev's blood. And I also find out that he got shot. But the question is, why would anyone shoot a bartender? Using the X-ray gadget, I figure out that one of the security guards shot at him, and after reconstructing him, it seems that he was startled and fired at Kovalev as an act of self-defense. Kinda weird, right? Why would Kovalev shoot at one of his own guards? Anyways, another person amongst the dead is a fellow coworker who worked for the chief. Using the reconstructor, we find out that he was here to buy illegal blueprints of Green's tower from someone. He managed to buy them until he got shot and killed by someone from the bar, further incriminating Kovalev as the shooter. Continuing our progress, we find another man burnt to a crisp lying on the floor. He's been burnt alive. We scan his body and Sarah identifies him as John Park. This man was the third guy in the picture alongside Green. I continue to rewind time and it looks like there was a bomb that blew up under his feet. I continue rewinding and I find 3 people having a talk at this lounge. Next to John is a document and upon reading it, this paper plans to further increase taxes on body subscription, and on top of that they want to lower the age limit from 20 to 19 and then as low as 18 years old. These plans are insane and it seems as if the person who blew them up was trying to get a point across, and that person was none other than Kovalev. After finding a bullet casing next to the bar, it wasn't hard to figure out that he was the shooter. What happened here was first he threw a bomb at John, burning him and the 2 other people. Then the security guard fired in self-defense but got killed in the process. Kovalev turns to his left and kills the illegal trader, and after that I find some pieces of dynamite around his waist. We continue finding more and more pieces until we have enough data and realize that he also blew up the ship using these sticks. So yeah, he really went out like guns blazing. Anyways, while we're here, we finally decide to open up the safe, and here we find a bottle of scotch, a card, and a note written from Green to Kovalev. Taking all the items with me, I scramble to find an exit until the reconstructor suddenly bugs out, leaving us trapped inside this burning ship. That's when all of a sudden, the stranger starts talking with us. This person was the same voice that we heard when grabbing the bottle at Green's tower. He tells us we missed the body and to go search for it. Once I find it, the stranger tells me to scan him. This man is George Boyle, a CTC director and one of the inventors of Icarite. He's the guy who's planning to increase the body taxes with John Park. Since his death is only temporary, as he can always change bodies, the stranger gives us an opportunity. We can shoot his Icarite to damage it and further desynchronize him, or we can leave him be. I'll let you guess which one I chose. With his Icarite all shot up, it'll take months to recover his consciousness, and those body taxes will be put on halt until they fix him. And then the Icarus really starts falling apart and we jump on our car to escape the scene. I also get the 8th achievement for completing this mission. We take a little smoke break on our car and I drink some of the stolen scotch. I get the 9th achievement for doing this, by the way. This next part is a lot of character building with Sarah. We talk to each other for basically 10 minutes. We talk about Rachel being in the afterlife, talking about our synchro issues, and a bunch of other stuff. The mission ends and we get the 10th achievement for getting to know Sarah better. Right after that, we get a glimpse of Rachel on the beach. This seems to be our vision of a perfect life, and everything seems amazing until the clouds turn dark and we're pulled away from this vision. We drunkenly drive home and riots around the city have started to take place. People are enraged about the lowering of the age limit and they started to fight back. With the combination of alcohol, cigars, and desynchro, we fall on the floor and pass out. Waking up, we find ourselves sitting on the couch next to our wife. And the visions of her have been getting more and more frequent, and at one point she even holds us. And after I pick up my plant that fell during the crash, I get the 11th achievement for doing so.
Please don't die.
After that, I take a sync test to help me with my desynchro issues. What this does is it goes back in our memories from our past lives and it tries to help us remember them. So here we can see the podium we once stood on, the desk we worked as the detective, and then we go back to our last death event, the train accident. James doesn't really remember much, but after finding signs of gun violence, death, and our coworker dying, it's safe to say this was a traumatic event. Finally, we see another dead body, and once we flip him over, we realize it's us. This causes a desynchro event to happen, and we see our wife once again. So yeah, we find out the unfortunate truth behind Rachel's death, and James rages at his computer. We then call Sarah and start another one of these connect the dot things. From this puzzle and the letter we found in the safe, we find out Kovalev had drank the Icarite poison as well. Therefore, him blowing himself up was also his final death. We figure out that the blueprints that the guy bought was for Green's tower, and Kovalev shot him in order to hide Green's secret. This completely cancels our hypothesis of Kovalev being the murderer. But now a new question comes into play. What's hidden inside of Green's tower? I get the 12th achievement for completing this mission. We head back to Green's tower and I try to find what the big X on the blueprint means. We locate it and it turns out to be just a safe. That can't be it, right? James decides to close the safe, and instead of opening it, what if we use the card we found in the Icarus? Well, wouldn't you know it, looks like there's a hidden passageway in this tower. We enter the passage and of course the door locks shut on us. We also lose contact with Sarah. Here we find a dead body inside this elevator, and this is one of the owners of the orphanage alongside Green. We push a button in the elevator and the whole thing just fucking breaks. Once again, we wake up and the stranger starts talking to us. We enter this room and there's a whole lot of dead people everywhere. While looking around, we find name tags of many famous journalists. We also see a chandelier that was crushed on someone and many more dead famous people. All of a sudden, the lights go out and the stranger says this.
Who's Sarah? With you.
Oh shit, this could be pretty bad for her, as we still don't know who this guy is and what he's capable of. For now, we brush it off and reactivate the power. And what the fuck is going on? This is for sure what a Diddy party looked like. Other than that, if you missed it, another secret room came up from the ground, and once we enter it, we find signs of another shooter. We find a dead woman, and after reconstructing part of the scene, we can tell there was another crazy shootout that happened here. At this point, I'm like 90% sure that the shooter here is the stranger talking in our ear, but I still do some more reconstructing. And here it looks like the woman almost got the guy, but she didn't finish the job as he managed to kill her and shoot the chandelier, which killed the other guy in the process. James realizes that this whole interaction was probably recorded somewhere, so we use our X-ray gadget and find out where the cameras are hidden. That's when I find a hidden switch in the statue's head, and upon turning it, the room moves down a level. We go deeper in the underground, and I'm telling you guys, this is for sure a Diddy party. We find frozen bodies trapped in tubes, and after reading the documents, these kids just turned 21. The stranger then tells us that these bodies come from the orphanages, the one Green built. We also find a private Icarite transmitter here, which means that Green and the other people might have been changing bodies whenever he felt like it. Finally, we come across the camera footage, and while searching for the killer, to our surprise, the shooter was actually Green himself. After seeing what all these people can do, the stranger then gives us another dilemma. Should we close this door and keep the passage hidden, leaving their Icarite to rot? Or do we leave the door open and let the cops find their body and most likely take their Icarite? I chose to close the secret passage. I then get the 13th achievement for completing this mission. After that, we go to try and find Sarah, panicking over the fact that the stranger could have found her, and from what James knows, she lives in the slums of Liberty Island. Just like our apartment, this place doesn't look too nice either. Anyways, we find the entrance to her house and I unlock the 14th achievement for doing so. Once I enter the home, I suffer from more desynchro attacks and then I get jump scared by a fake mannequin. I also fall through the floor and get shot at. The voice of the person who shot me sounds like a mix of Sarah and the strangers, and after a small standoff I end up getting shot again and I pass out on the floor. We wake up and who's this? This is Sarah, guys. She low-key kinda bad. The reason why she looks like this is because she rented her body on the black market to make some extra money. Sarah also opens up to a little bit. She talks about her backstory when she was younger. She had a lover named Taylor. Together they found a museum buried under the dirt and they used this to their advantage. They would fix ancient relics and later sell them to make money. But by the time they both turned 21, Taylor took all the money and paid for Sarah's subscription. Since they didn't have enough for Taylor, she basically sacrificed her life for Sarah, her Icarite now remaining in the CTC. After exploring Sarah's house, we find papers for blood reports for Jane Salma, Green's psychologist. We ask her about it and it turns out the person Sarah rented her body to was none other than Salma herself. We take a drink together and start up another connect the dots puzzle. Here we find a recording of Salma and Green at one of their appointments, and it seems as if Green was going crazy and he was kinda losing control of himself. We finish the board, but now we're left with a big question. Who's pulling the strings in this mystery? Was Green's suicide really a suicide or was it a murder? Was Kovalev's bombing an act with Green? Was Green forced to kill all those people? This is a decision that we're supposed to make. Do we think Green was doing this all by himself, or was there a murderer who was controlling everything behind the scenes? While playing for the first time, I thought everything would make sense if there was a murderer in play, so that's the option I chose. I also get the 15th achievement for finishing every connect the dot puzzle in the game. Sarah and James then brainstorm and they decide to go to the train accident to find some more answers. After that, I get another achievement for completing this mission, and we also get the same dream with Rachel as before. Once we land our car, we finally get to see this train accident. We enter the train and we still see the empty remains of all the bodies that were left behind. We see our old dried blood stains on the floor, and when I go to use my reconstructor, this happens. We get put into a first-person point of view of the incident. The stranger tells us to remember what really happened on this train, and as we reverse time, we can see that we shot and killed many people. James doesn't believe this. He thinks he's losing his mind, but the more we reconstruct, the more proof we have of us killing all these innocent people. Keep in mind, we were trying to stop a drug dealer and these people got in our way, but that still doesn't justify our actions. We get to the last card and find our partner Seth's name tag alongside a big hole on the left side of this train. We reverse time and we find out the reason why we were so bloodthirsty on killing this guy is because he's the person who sold Rachel the Icarite poison. Before Rachel jumped off the cliff, she took some of this poison, thus leading to her final death. Anyways, the drug dealer shoots Seth's car down and the train comes crashing with it. We vomit blood out of shock and we get a strong desynchro attack. Instead of just seeing and hearing voices, now we're actually getting pulled by something. And listen to how much I was trying to click the A button.
This has been over you. Relax.
The stranger taunts us with Rachel, he asks why we continue to live, he plays the sound of a baby crying, and we even have to stop our own hand from stabbing ourselves. Remember the scene, by the way, this is something I'll come back to later. Then, after all our button mashing, we still end up getting pulled into the door. We get teleported into Brian's room and we're about to drink the poison until Sarah wakes us up. Right after, she tells us Salma's in one of the riots and that she needs help. This also means that Sarah's body is in danger and we'll need to save her. We get the 16th achievement for completing this mission. We drive to the riot to search for Salma. We get to explore Central Park and how it looks like in this world. We make our way through the park until we get stopped by the chief. And depending on the choices you make throughout the game, this interaction will differ, but at the end of this conversation, he will always just shoot us. An explosion happens and we get hit by a car. Somehow we're still alive after this, and just to recap, we've survived an elevator crash, getting shot twice, getting into a car accident, and now getting hit by a whole ass car. Moving forward, Sarah's pleading with us to go find Salma, and once we do, she opens fire on us. By the tone of her voice, it sounds like the stranger took over her body as we hear him speaking to us. He tells us him and Salma have become one and he now controls her every move. Just after that, I go to make a move to shoot her, but for some reason I can't fully raise my arm. And I'm telling you guys, I tried my best here. I was spamming the life out of this button.
Life smoldering in it. Blind fears, warped by traumas, pussies. It's time to end this, James.
But at the end of the day, I wasn't fast enough and she shoots us to the floor. I try one more time, but the results don't change. And finally, as she's walking away, with my last breath, I pulled the trigger and managed to kill Salma. I call Sarah to tell her what I did, and while she's crying over the loss of her body, we close our eyes and sink into the darkness. I get the 17th achievement for doing so. We have a third dream of Rachel, and this time we're so close to her we can see her trying to pull us in. But the tide doesn't let us and we get pulled back into the ocean. We get another achievement for completing the game for the first time. Then a cutscene plays and it shows our Icarite trapped in a tube surrounded by millions if not billions of other people. Since we don't have enough money to buy another body, this is where we'll stay for the rest of eternity. We get another achievement for unlocking the bad ending. While the credits play, Sarah left a voice message for us, and depending on the choices you make throughout the game, this will differ. At the end of her message, we get the 21st achievement. Now that I've beaten the game once, we're still missing 5 achievements, the most notable one being to unlock the good ending. So now I restarted the game with the intention of getting the good ending. The first change that I do is to burn the documents in Green's tower instead of just leaving them. I get an achievement for doing this. The only thing this changes is your relationship with the chief, and he'll just act more friendly and kind towards you. Skipping forward a couple of missions, we get to the shower scene. While talking with our neighbor, if you manage to choose the right dialogue options and beat him in his little fighting game, then you'll get an achievement for doing this. I also unlock another achievement for going outside and catching one of these posters that fell out of the car. Finally, when I get back to Sarah's place, if I do an elaborate puzzle that includes reading this poster, turning on some lights, and eventually opening this curtain, I'll get an achievement called Chicken of Justice. So now I'm basically back at the same spot that I was before, but now when it's time to choose who's behind this whole mystery, instead of a murderer, I chose Green. We go through the game and the same thing happens. The chief still shoots us even though we were good to him, and now once we reach this part with Salma, when we go to make our move, she doesn't actually shoot us right away. Instead, we have a conversation with her, and here's when she gives us the biggest lore drop of the game. She tells us that the stranger talking to us is not real, and rather it's only a disorder, a hallucination of some sort. After changing bodies and swapping Icarites so many times, the mind has a limit and eventually will lose control. Since James has intense trauma and has changed bodies like 4 times now, his mind is probably on the edge of falling apart, which explains all these desynchro attacks that we've gotten throughout the whole game. She also says that Green was suffering from this too. So this small conversation explains almost everything now. The stranger we keep hearing is all in our head. Remember back on the train when we tried to stab ourselves with a knife? That was really the stranger in our mind taking over our body. It also happened when he dragged us across the floor. We saw it once again when we tried to shoot Salma. We pointed the gun to our face instead. We saw it when Green was bashing his head into the floor, and also when he killed all those people at his Diddy party. There is no ghost, there's no invisible man, rather the real enemy was our mind breaking from everything we've been through. After this revelation, I decide not to shoot Salma and I throw my gun away. I give her my earpiece to talk to Sarah, and after that James feels like the stranger is taking over his body. So he tells Salma to get out, and James doesn't want to live his life fighting an invisible force inside of his mind. So he pulls a bold move and he takes the poison from his jacket and drinks it. With the poison in our body, we stumble and crawl our way to the edge of the building, and without any second thought, we leap to our final death. We wake up and finally we're at this beach we've dreamed of. We've died and now we're capable of living our afterlife with Rachel on this beautiful island. I get the last achievement for finding peace. Sarah delivers a pretty tearful message, and that's the end of the
Hi,
game.
James.
Now, before the video ends, I'd just like to clarify that yes, this game's story is pretty complex. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a bit ambiguous to let the player like think what happened to everyone. Like if you really think about it, what causes the stranger to possess people? Why did Rachel kill herself? What happened to Brian, James's son? A lot of unanswered questions all around, but honestly, for a walker simulator type of game, what an incredible story. If I were to rank this game with the others, I would put it in S tier. The combination of story and gameplay gives it that spot. So yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, I'd just like to say thank you for watching this 30-minute video, and enjoy the rest of your day.